Hello, beautiful people. Happy Eastertide to you. This is Rickcast. I am Rick. I hope everybody had a wonderful, blessed, beautiful Easter Sunday. And now we are back at it here all over the place. And I am very happy to be here with you guys. And the fact that, anybody showed up after our technical difficulties that we had last week is it's always a shock and an honor that you guys actually come back and hang out with me. I got a good show for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to get right into it. Obviously, there is the big news about Pope Francis. We are not going to cover it, and I know some people who will not actually watch the show. They'll just look at the thumbnail, will blast me because I went out and I made a call out to Catholic news show, Catholic YouTube channels to be wary of their coverage of Pope Francis, especially after most of them made their money off of bashing him for XYZ number of years. Well, you're covering him. This is a news show. We're going to cover the fact that he died and the actual account of his death. We're not going to go into the what's next phase or what does this mean for the Catholic Church or anything else that these BS channels are going to try and do tonight to get you to waste some time and give them a like and a retweet or whatever the case may be. Obviously, you can tell I have strong opinions of it, but that is not appropriate for this show. This is a new show, like I said. So we're going to cover the Pete Hegseth Scrutiny. Kristi Noem got robbed. Not really great when your Department of Homeland Security lady who's running around posing with guns and pretending she's a tough chick. It doesn't help when your stuff gets stolen. Not great. Not a great look. There's a weird change in the Oscar voting process, and this is a change that I'm pretty sure you thought would actually have been there from the beginning. Apparently, you have to watch all the movies before you get to vote. This is the actual headline. Oscar rule change. Members must see all nominees before they vote, which is kind of weird, right? Like, you would think your job as an Oscar voter is to watch films. And you're not even able to do that, you bunch of lazy bums? Yeah, I guess so. I guess that really shows how entitled they are. It really shows that it's completely, I don't want to say mailed in or the fix is in, but the fact that they won't even take the time to watch all these films. That's how you get these cases where these films that are god awful end up winning. And you're going, how is this even possible? It's not. It's absolutely not. And we're going to talk about it. So do me a favor. Apparently, subs aren't as big of a deal as they were before. There's been this whole, you're right, Lou, you are 100% right. There's this whole thing about the algorithm change, at least on YouTube, where it's about live feed and it's about hitting the like button and hitting the comment section. That shows engagement because somebody can have, great example, Ben Shapiro has millions of subscribers, but his video counts are like 30,000. So his engagement is not high. So you guys on YouTube, you're already doing your job. You're hitting the comment section, and that shows positive engagement, and I love it. You guys on Rumble, you guys, by one Twitch streamer, salute to you. Hit the engagement by hitting the like button. If you're on X, repost the stream. That helps out as well very much to continue to drive the algorithm forward because we are all slaves to it today. So I'm not going to waste your time. Let's get to it, folks. I got some good stuff to talk about. Let's start off with a couple funny things, couple lighthearted things, weird things, lighthearted things, whatever you want to call them. Let's check it out first. I'm just checking one more time to make sure my audio is good. Yeah, my little mic right here. It's working out. It's better than trying to lug around all this other kind of stuff. When you're on the road, and you're trying to be a live streamer, less is more. Less is more. We're using my phone, using this thing. I really want to invest in, I mean, if you want to listen to it, you know how they have those things where you get like 3 screens out of the same? I need to get one of those. I need as many screens as possible for my ADD self. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get to our first story of the day. This one's pretty interesting. This is from discussingfilm.com. I don't know if this is real or not, but if it's real, it might be the greatest news in entertainment history in the last couple of years. Y'all remember the Outrun video game from the 80s and early 90s? Y'all remember this game? I remember playing this game for hours. Outrun. You put the coins in and you get the Lamborghini and you're just on the road. It's so much fun. less is more, right? Less is more. Well, it looks like, because there is no more creativity in Hollywood, it's completely broke. It's bereft. It's all these kinds of things. There's going to be a live action Outrun movie with the one and the only Michael Bay. Michael Bay is going to direct an Outrun movie, which to me is the greatest news ever, because there's nothing better than having a Lamborghini fly down the highway with 6,000 explosions behind it. Because, say what you will about Michael Bay, guy knows how to put on a show. He's one of the last showmen that are out there. So that's pretty interesting. Also, of course, the Thirsty Boys will be really happy because Sydney Sweeney is apparently producing this film. I don't know if she's starring in it, but she's producing it. But Sydney Sweeney is what we would call a Michael Bay girl. And it wouldn't shock me if she shows up. G Money, happy Eastertide to you, my friend. Thank you for hanging out with me. Holla back to you. I guess it makes me a holla back girl. Anyway, so I just thought that was kind of funny. You know, an Outrun movie with Michael Bay and Sydney Sweeney. Maybe the world is healing just a little bit. So that's our first one. Our second story that we're going to talk about here, as far as kind of, it's supposed to be lighthearted or weird. And I don't know if it's either one of these. When is that movie? When is the movie about the mega powers coming out? Sooner rather than later. It's got to. There has to be a movie about the mega powers eventually. So this is my second. Here's another story, a little lighthearted news to get into. We usually call these hot takes, but there's really only a couple things out there right now, especially in the post-Easter landscape. So let's take a look here. Watch robots race humans in Beijing half-run marathon. Which, is it even fair to have a robot run a marathon? Unless they're gas powered and they can only go so far, like on a tank of gas, but they're battery powered. So is it like, are they solar powered? I don't get this. It's kind of interesting, but kind of stupid at the same time. Dozens of humanoid robots joined a half marathon in Beijing, showcasing China's technological advancements. See, the Chinese love to do this kind of stuff. Cesar, happy Eastertide to you, my friend. Thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. So, you know, China loves to do this. They love to do these promos, and they love to do, China is so advanced. China has fire trucks that shoot missile into fire and take, no, it doesn't. It has one fire truck, and it has 5 missiles that it does for display purposes. China does not do half this stuff. There's probably four of these robots that are in existence, and I bet you 3 of them broke down. This is all just Chinese propaganda, and of course, the New Zealand Herald is happy to, oblige them in their propaganda nonsense. The event is aimed to test the performance and reliability of biped robots. You know what? They're not going to be really reliable when they get a nice 300 blackout round down the son of mass, if you know what I mean. I'm not a big fan of them, and I don't think you are too. But these things are going on. If you hear about them, they're going to be like, wow, China's so advanced. They have robots that raise. No, they have like 3 of them. And half of those don't work. It's the same thing. If you remember the Tesla robots, the Optimus robots, they came out late last year. And everybody was so surprised because they were moving around and they were serving drinks, and they were, come to find out, they were being controlled in the back by like 5 guys. They weren't actually autonomous, and they weren't on their own. They were just kind of doing things to do things. It's the same thing here. So just don't fall for it. My audience, besides being the most beautiful, smart, and intelligent audience there is out there, is also real hip to not get the wool pulled over your own eyes. All right, this is Rickcast, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to be back, streaming from wherever I can find a port at this point. I won't be back home until, fingers crossed, Thursday, but who knows? No, I'm not underestimating China. That's a good point. But there's a difference in underestimating China and understanding the propaganda that they're trying to do. And I understand what you're saying. Don't underestimate them. But at the same time, they're very good at the propaganda, as communists are for everything. And they want to be like, oh, we have all these robots that do these things. And most of the time they don't. Now, could they? Absolutely. but I'm going to err on the consistency that they don't usually do that. But you're correct. Don't underestimate communists, because communists are scumbags. First story of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently there's according to MSNBC.com, a full-blown meltdown at Trump's Pentagon as Hegseth faces fresh signal chat allegations. Now, this is a media that was silent throughout the fact that during the Biden regime, you had a General Miley Cyrus, as I like to call him, say, well, if we were going to start a war with China, and this was under Trump, if we were going to start a war with China, I was just going to call the Chinese to tell them. And that was fine. Nobody cared. And then, of course, all the other problems and things that have happened under various other regimes, not a big deal. But because Trump's, orange man bad and so forth, the worst thing that these people have been able to get Pete Hegseth on. Now, I'm not a neocon by any means. And if the guy's not good at what he does, obviously get rid of him. But the fact they're getting him with signal chat allegations shows that this is a nothing burger, in my opinion. Last week got underway, one of Fed's Secretary Pete Hegseth's top advisors, Dan Caldwell, was escorted from the Pentagon. Soon after, Darren Shelnick, another top member of Hegseth's team, was out as well. That same day, nearly every member of the Pentagon's Defense Digital Service, described as the department's fast-track tech development arm, announced they're resigning. Soon after, Colin Carroll, the chief of staff to Deputy Defense Secretary Stephen Feinberg, was also removed from the Pentagon. So, blah, 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 blah. This is apparently a big deal because people are leaving the Pentagon. I mean, when people left the Kamala Harris administration in droves, it was a nothing burger. So you always have to take these things with a grain of salt and always look at the source. It's the Monday after Easter. They can only write so many Pope Francis headlines. They got to write other stuff. So Pete Hegseth is the easiest target of the Trump administration to go after. Former Fox News host. He had the sexual proclivity case. So he's kind of their target. They don't really, I mean, they try to go after RFK every once in a while, and they do when he does something silly. They don't really touch Tulsi because she kind of keeps her mouth shut. Kristi Noem, which we'll talk about in the next story, she's another one who's targeted for a little bit of mocking and ridicule. But Hegseth is their number one because, right? I wish I was in that. I wish we all were. Be like, get him, Hegseth. All this stuff going on. I might as well, man. It'd be great. Anyway, as the week came to an end, 3 of those who were ousted, Caldwell, Carroll, and Selnick, issued a joint statement explaining that they were incredibly disappointed at how their service at the Pentagon ended, adding that unnamed Pentagon officials have slandered our character with baseless attacks. And it seemed things couldn't get worse. They got worse. NBC News reported Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has used his personal phone to send information about U.S. military operations in Yemen to a 13-person signal group chat, including his wife and his brother, 2 sources with knowledge of the matter confirmed to NBC News. So it's just people you know. Who are the sources? Is it the homeless guy outside the Pentagon? Is it the guy at the pizza place? Like, who are the sources? Now, I'm not going to keep up for Pete Hegseth. If he did something stupid, then he's going to get, he's got to be remanded for it. But this is how NBC News did this during the first Trump administration. Well, we have 2 sources with knowledge of the matter. Knowledge, what knowledge? Did they see the signal chat? Do they know what's going on? Are they people that were fired when Hegseth took over, so they're mad? A lot of times I have these former people who work at the Pentagon. Now they got fired from the Pentagon, and now they're upset with the Pentagon, meaning they want to see Pete Hegseth get fired, shockingly. He did so after an aide had warned him to be careful not to share sensitive information with an unsecured communication system before the Yemen operation. Yeah. Of course, they were all like, no, Pete Hegseth, Secretary Hegseth, don't do it. And he's like, shut up, young kid. I'm going to do whatever I want, right? Oh, Mr. Hegseth, we only care about what you're doing. Please shut up, Junior. I'm going to do this anyway. Okay. Yeah, that's how all these things are always set up to go, right? Oh, well, the stupid Pete Hegseth, the cowboy, he didn't listen to us and he just went ahead and did it anyway. Yeah, whatever, dude. Get out of my face with this nonsense. These allegations core coming in the heels of Hegseth's prominent role in last month's Signal Chat scandal, controversy. Some have labeled Signalgate. Ooh, so edgy and cool. That's currently under investigation by the Department of Defense Inspector General. Get out of here, man cow. Hegseth continues to deny allegations that he shared classified information through unsecured channels. Hegseth told reporters, what a big surprise that a bunch of leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out from the same media that peddled the Russia hoax. Like him or hate him, that is pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate. Like, do you see how Emma said the Russia scandal was quite real? Okay. He added, this is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees. Then they try to slash and burn and ruin people's reputations. Not going to work. I mean, is he wrong in that regard? Because we're so split politically, people on the right are going to defend Hegseth and people on their left are going to assume he's guilty. There is no actual process by which we're going to figure out the actual truth because there is no truth. There's only victory. Really, in this age that we live in, there's no truth here. There's only one side and then the other. Which side do you fall on? Me, I don't care. I'm a Catholic. That's what I tell people. I'm a Catholic. That's my political party. I don't care about Pete Hegseth. If I do care about the unjust wars that are happening in Yemen and across the Middle East, and I care that I don't want to go to war for another country in the Middle East and to make sure that we're fighting in places that we shouldn't be and bombing brown children just because we should be or we think we should be. I don't like Hegseth's role in that. That's something that we should be talking about more than Signalgate, if that makes sense. We should be talking about the bombing of brown children, the unjust wars that the United States is peddling, all of the ratcheting up of tensions with Iran. Those are the things that we could go after Pete Hegseth and this administration for. Not texting somebody something in a Signal chat. But everything's out of whack. Everything's out of order here. And that's the big problem with it. So it is what it is. No truth is going to be brought out in here. No truth is going to be brought up in here. It's going to be about, listen, one side is bad and the other side is bad. And so it is what it is in that regard. All right, folks, this is Rickcast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. You guys in YouTube, keep giving me those comments. Makes the show better. Hit the like button, too, if you could. Give me an Easter Bunny pounce on the like button, a Judy Hop like button. I hung out with my nephew yesterday. We watched Zootopia because Easter, of course. So Judy Hop, punch the like button, which doesn't make sense, but you know what I'm saying. Hit the like button. All right, folks, let's get to our second story of the day. Pretty embarrassing, but this is what happens when you try to be a tough chick. Nobody liked Kristi Noem. Well, of course, there were the thirsty boy Republican guys who were like, oh, Kristi Noem's so hot. Look at her in her tactical outfit. She looks great. And the rest of us are like dying of cringe because she's LARPing as a law enforcement agent. The only thing she's dangerous to is a pack of dogs. But CNN Kristi Noem's bag with DHS access codes, badge, and $3,000 stolen at a restaurant. The Secret Service saw a white male wearing a medical mask take the bag and leave. I don't know how to talk about this. How does somebody get close enough? And of course, we saw that a couple of weeks back when President Trump got boomed in the face with a boom mic, and everybody was like, well, how does somebody get that close to the president with a boom mic? Anyway, this is actually, I think this is, once again, this is on Secret Service. Yeah, she has a Secret Service act. You're right, Steph. She's got Secret Service with her. Why is Secret Service letting somebody get close enough to her table unless it's, oh, I just started working here. He's got a mask on. Okay. Law enforcement officials told CNN that someone stole DHS Secretary Kristi Noem's bag at a D.C. restaurant. The bag contained her ID, passports, checks, $3,000 in cash, medicine, and her DHS access badge. Wonder how she shows up to work today. She's like, hey guys, can you let me in? How without your badge, ma'am? You know who I am. Yeah, sorry. That's protocol. You got to get your badge. Secret Service saw a white man wearing a medical bag, take the bag, and leave. So what did they do? Did they just, yeah, all the ladies were like, hey, you're leaving. Where do you go? He went that way. The officer did not provide more information. Yeah, because the follow-up question is, why didn't you stop him? We don't know if she was in a chair when the guy took the bag or if she was not there. It's going to be worse if she was like sitting in the chair and like somebody walks up behind her and just takes her bag and leaves. Everybody's just falling asleep on the job. Plenty of ladies put their purses around the chair, making it easy to snatch on the lowdown. Nobody's saying that. This woman is supposed to be a protected member of the cabinet. Right? She's supposedly in charge of one of the most important law enforcement agencies in the country, the Department of Homeland Security. What are you doing? Who's just like, oh, he's gonna refill the water. The service is a great warning, ladies, that it's easy for somebody to take your purse. Who cares about any of that? No. Let's talk about the fact. This is from pretty much that's what legal insurrection does. They kind of just copy and paste this stuff. The big thing is, how do you lose? It's a Gucci bag. Okay. How do you allow somebody to get that close? She was at the Capitol Burger about 1 mile northeast of the White House. A person familiar with the case told the Post DHS secretary to finish paying when she felt the brush against her leg, which she initially thought was one of her grandchildren, before realizing her bag was missing. See, this is a problem. You can't do all these poses and stuff like that and try to like LARP as a law enforcement officer and then say, by the way, I don't like the New York Post. By the way, somebody stole my bag. Well, what happened? Weren't you like walking around with your police gear and your AR-15 that you pretend to do? Nope, you weren't. So you got yanked. Her entire family was in town, including her children and grandchildren. Noem's bag also contained her driver's license, passport, DHS bag, makeup check. We know there's makeup in there. Checks, bank card, healthcare card, medication, and apartment keys. All that's got to be changed. The larger bag had been placed on the ground at Noem's table when it was snatched. Security footage reviewed by Secret Service showed a white man in an N95 surgical mask, dark pants, and a fur-type collar. So it's even worse. She got her stuff pickpocketed by a furry. The suspect has not been identified as Monday afternoon. The suspect glanced around the restaurant before grabbing Noem's bag. Isn't that like, if you're on a security detail, isn't that 101? Like, if somebody's going like this and you have a member of the cabinet over there, like, hey, can we make sure that guy doesn't get near? Can we make sure the furry doesn't get near the Secretary of Homeland Security or whatever? That might be it. Yeah, she's trained to do with the naughty dogs. And not white dudes take their purse. Apparently, this is embarrassing. Secret Service provided security for the Secretary, as it does for the President or the high-ranking. It's unclear whether the detail was inside the restaurant at the time of the robbery. They're going to tell you they were as far away from the building as possible. Oh, no, we were outside getting the car. I don't know. That's what happens. Let's see. Yeah, they declined to comment. The Secret Service may look great in movies, but they are not very good. Can we just all agree that the Secret Service kind of sucks? They're just not very good at what they do. They're just not. And it happens, but it is what it is. All right, folks, this is Rickcast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell to tell me, hey, we appreciate you streaming from the road, Rick. We like it, even though it's a little shoddy here and there with the reception, but we're doing our best. We're doing well. All right, folks, let's get to our, it sounds like a Marx bro. It does. Oof. It does. I can't even make my voice go up. It does sound like, I have to talk like this now for 10 minutes. It does sound like that. It does sound pretty pretty far-fetched and pretty embarrassing that she's got to go to Trump and be like, Trump, what is it, Kristi? I lost my bag. I lost my bag, Trump. What do you mean you lost it? It got stolen. Well, tough luck. You're fired. You gotta go. You lose your stuff, you get fired. All right, folks, let's move on to our next story here, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting report from Forbes. And the response from like YouTube movie reviewers and stuff like that was very much like, I thought this was something you had to do. I thought this was something that was required in order to vote, but apparently it's not. It's even easier to be a movie critic than anything else. So Oscars rule change: members must see all the nominees before voting. So I know you like to sit around and you only want to vote for the most left-leaning bunch of garbage you can find, but no, now you actually have to like do a job and sit in front of a movie theater or sit in a movie. The Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences announced a new rule for Oscars on Monday, including one that requires members to prove they've seen all the nominees in the category they're voting on. Following the lead of rules for the voting memberships of the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, or the BAFTAs, AMPS members must see all the films in the category before casting their votes. Of course, now how are they going to check on that? You're just going to check a box like, yeah, I totally watched all this. THR said in a report on Monday that the membership seeing all of the nominees, quote unquote, has become more of a concern for the Academy in recent years since the organization massively expanded its membership and brought in a lot of younger members who are busier with their careers. Let's just be real, they're lazier. Let's just be real, they're lazier. They're like, I don't like this movie. It's got a conservative in it. I'm not going to vote for it. I like the one with the 5 gay guys in it. I'm going to vote for that. Prior to the rule change, THR reported the AMPAS allowed votes to be cast through an honor system. Of course, you can't have that anymore. Now, however, members casting votes in particular categories must provide anecdotal evidence, whatever that means, before accessing votes in the Academy's e-ballot system. Now, of course, they could just pass the same ticket around, but whatever. THR said the evidence that a member has viewed a nominee can be tracked by AMPS by checking their use of the Academy's screening app. If the voting member sees a film at the awards screening or film festival, they'll have to verify by filling out a form to validate they've seen it. This is just speaking to the fact that the system is just broken because in an attempt to make themselves more hip or trendy or whatever the young kids say right now, they were like, oh, let's bring in younger viewers. Well, what's their qualification to be there? That they're young? Just because we're seeing that now in the fact that nobody knows how to write a film because they're younger. Well, they have no life experience. So if you bring in a person who is younger or an influencer or whatever these stupid things are, they haven't earned their piece. They haven't earned their place to vote. So obviously, when you just give away the ability to vote on stuff, whether it's like an MVP in baseball or an awards ceremony, if you just give it out, people obviously aren't going to treat it with the respect it deserves. And in juxtaposed to something you earn. Oh, I finally became a member of the voting academy. Oh, I'm a writer, a baseball writer, and I finally got my vote for the Hall of Fame. So I'm actually going to do my work and make sure it comes out to being something good. If you don't appreciate it, and I am starting to sound like an old man, if you don't appreciate it, then you're not going to treat it with the respect it deserves. Obviously, like, oh, I'm just going to vote for the movie that everybody on X says I should vote for this movie because it's got 5 gay characters and a black lady. All right, if that's the case, they're all going to vote for G20, the G20 movie from Amazon. It's diverse with a black lady, and it's super great. But that's the issue. All of these things have lost their importance because generations are being given things that they haven't earned. It's okay for the voting bloc to be a little older because they actually have life experience and they know what a good film is. You shouldn't be able to vote on how a movie is scored unless you know how to make a film. It's kind of simple in that regard, but it's a very interesting dynamic that they are saying, oh, well, you got to watch the movie in order to vote on it. And everybody else is going, well, no crap. But apparently This is a big deal. All right, folks, this is Rickcast. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. I'm going to do that. As we get to the story that everybody wants to talk about today. Um, so let's just get it. This, once again, this is not a. I'm going to preface this by saying this is not a cat. I am a Catholic. Most of you know that. This is not a Catholic breakdown of the Francis pontificate. This is a news show. This is the most newsworthy event. As somebody said on X today, I'm apologizing if I don't remember who it said. You know the Catholic Church is important because when the Pope dies, the world stops. It's that simple, regardless of the Pope. And so Pope Francis died. The 266th Bishop of Rome passed this morning at 7:35 a.m. Roman time, either Roman or Italian time, whichever you want to say. He was the first Latin American and the first Jesuit to occupy the papacy. That's it. That's all we're gonna talk about there. Now, it is a tragedy, because everybody had been speculating since it's April, since February when he went into the hospital, that he was going to pass on at some point. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, he could recover and he could make a good progression." And anybody who's a realist said the guy's 88 with 1.5 lungs. So the fact, even if he does recover, he's just going to be going in and out for the rest of his life. And he was out there. Yeah, it is interesting. But Michael, it's a good point. Most of and this is where that breakdown happens. So he had a stroke in the morning, and then he went unconscious, and then he eventually passed. That's how his final hours went. And for all us Catholics, there's two things I will try to get a little bit Catholic about. The first one is it is our duty, whether you liked him or not, to pray for the repose of his soul. The second thing is to not speculate on the conclave. And there's a lot, and I don't really care at this point in my career as a streamer or whatever you want to call this, my occupation. I'm tired of trying to pretend that most of the Catholic outlets aren't just doing this for clicks and views. Most of them just want to be famous. Very few of them are doing it to actually spread the faith. And I know that's going to get me in trouble with people, but just understand that shows you're going to see. I actually talked to a buddy of mine in New York. He watched Kennedy Halls earlier, and he's like, Kennedy had a good show, and he brought up some decent points, but there wasn't anything new. And that's something I put out today. I said, listen, why are we talking about Pope Francis right now? Why? Because what are you going to speculate on? The conclave? The only one they got Benedict wrong. They got Pope Francis wrong. They got them all wrong. These analysts and these things like that. These people who try to tell you who these are the inside tracks. These are the guys that have it. Listen, they don't. They don't know. So, it's ironic. My wife and I are actually going to be in Rome in August. We're actually going at the end of August. So we're going to see how. I don't know how long conclaves last. Because I don't care. It's not my job. My job is to pray for the cardinals that get there and pray that they discern correctly, and that they're guided by the Holy Spirit. Obviously, the Holy Spirit doesn't pick the next pope, but he can guide. And hopefully the cardinals' hearts are open to the guidance of the Holy Father. I'm not the Holy Father, of the men at the conclave. And left-wing outlets are trying to push the thing of, oh, he was reaching out to the marginalized, and he was great for the LGBT, and he was great for this and that. And right-wingers are like, at least the Vatican we don't have trans priests, and he defended the rights of the unborn. Listen, most of the people that are commenting on Pope Francis, even Catholics, they fail to realize that we've had bad popes. And guess what? We're going to have bad popes in the future. even if you get your most conservative pick, that Pope's not going to do everything perfect. So be careful. People like, of course, people like Laura Loomer are surprisingly morons, and trying to talk about these things. But let's try to get back and make this more newsworthy. How is the news covering it? Left wing is covering it in a certain way. Actually, let's see if we can actually do that correctly. If I can spell Pope Francis. If you want to look at how the coverage is breaking down, this is actually kind of crazy. They say Vatican News leans right on this one. And then left you have unknowns, and then other ones, Catholic News Agency is recorded as right. But so you have some of these things. Let's see. He died of a stroke and then subsequent heart failure. On the left, Pope Francis's final hours, his Easter message greeting the crowd early morning. Pope Francis cause of death revealed after his final surprise. And so it's very interesting how people have approached it. Now, I will give Trump credit. This is a good move by Trump. Trump directs flags at half staff for Pope Francis, and then Trump is going to be in Rome next week for his funeral, which is, it's a big deal. I think that's a really big deal. But if you look at how the news covers this, Spike was right wing, but Chicagoans react to Pope Francis. They say he's at peace. Whoopi Goldberg shares emotional tribute to friend Pope Francis. Like, okay, Whoopi Goldberg's not a Catholic. Why are we talking to her about that? And so forth. People are just doing it for clicks and retweets at this point. And people are going after him for his things about gay marriage and his things about all these other kinds of things. Yeah, he did make some pretty bad statements. And of course, super trads are always mad about his attack on the Latin Mass. And the thing is, when Pope Francis was attacking the Latin Mass, people like myself and others were saying, you don't deserve anything in this life. And I know that rubs some people the wrong way. A lot of Americans puff their chest out and almost act like they deserve the Latin Mass. But what have we done here in these United States to deserve anything? Where are you in a place to tell God what you do and do not deserve? And the second thing I'll say about this is that your faith is only as strong as the rite it's celebrated in. I mean, the Japanese went 1,000 years without anything. There are Chinese Catholics right now fighting communists in an attempt just to celebrate Mass. So, but Pope Francis obviously was in the wrong to do that. I get it. And see, this is where I'm not trying to light fires on it. You are correct. I'm just trying to point out that maybe it's not the Mass that I'm trying to say. The leaders we deserve, maybe in that regard. And I know we're not going to agree on this, so I completely get what you're saying there. My whole thing is, God grants us the leaders we deserve, if that makes sense. And so maybe we'll get a pope that brings back what you're saying there, Michael. Maybe we'll get one back that will restore everything there. That would be amazing. I think I would be just as happy about that. But if we don't, I won't be shocked. And the sad thing is, I think the real problem is, and then we'll end on this, is that, I'm not trying to light fires with anybody here, because I know I love the Mass. My wife and I go to the Latin Mass. We love it. But at the same time, I'm also trying to say, we get what we deserve. It's kind of what I'm saying. Whether that's fair or not, that's kind of how I look at it. And the final thing, trying to keep this newsworthy and not, which I've already gone off the rails and I apologize for, try to keep it more newsworthy, is we're here in America, we're sucked into this political analysis of our faith. Right wing, left wing. Oh, left wings love the Catholic Pope, and yeah, that's awesome. That's what you need to do, right? That's what you need to do. And that's something Steve Cunningham talks about all the time. Do you want to tweet about how we need a new pope, or go on YouTube, or are you going to pray an extra rosary? Are you going to do a fast for it? Are you going to do works of mercy? That's the solution. That's the solution. That is absolutely the solution for that. I'm encouraged too, Mike. That's a great point. That was a really great point. And I think we as Catholics, especially Catholic Americans, we need to get out of the way that it's framed. We have 49 conservative popes or conservative cardinals or whatever the breakdown is. I know I used it. I even used it. The chart of conservative cardinals, liberal cardinals, listen, we got to get out of that paradigm and try to focus. We need to get back to being Catholics. We got to heal the divide between left and right. We have to. And that means we have to do a lot of work. The laity has to do a lot of work to repair, to find our brothers and sisters. I mean that literally in some cases, that are not practicing anymore, and try to bring them back. We got to find a way to break through the political shackles that we see everything here. Yeah, that's right. And that's a good thing too, Michael. The conclave doomers. Oh, well, this, that, and the other thing. Yeah. And that's why the part that I'm trying to tell people is, do a fast for that. I know there's a couple prayers that have come out, prayers for the Cardinals, that they do the right thing. We can't lose hope, especially right now. This is the Easter season. This is our most hopeful time. Our Lord and Savior just defeated death not even 24 hours ago, or a day ago. So now is the time for joy. Pope Francis pulled through one more Easter, and he was able to meet the crowds and bring joy to people and bring some peace to some people. I think that's great. I think it's actually great that he was able to make sure he didn't die on Easter, to take that away from our Lord. He died on the Monday after. So there's a lot of things to look at here. But unfortunately, I've kind of veered off more than I wanted to, because I want to keep this as newsy as possible. So unfortunately, it was coming. We all knew it was coming. I talked to a good friend of mine who's a priest, a couple weeks ago, and he was like, yeah, Pope Francis he's pretty much dead. Not in a mean way. He's like, if you've been through enough end of care or end of life situations, that it's not a question of how, if, but how soon. And it's something that we've all kind of been preparing for. And this channel, I guarantee you, will not cover the day-to-day drama. There's already a bit of drama out there. One cardinal's writing another cardinal. I'm not covering it. You know why? Because that's for the cardinals to figure out. And what I will do is I will up my prayers and pray for the church. Because guess what, guys? For you doomers out there, the church survived Francis. A lot of people said it wouldn't, but the church survived Pope Francis. Because the church is the bride of Christ, and that's who we need to pray and support. So I don't know if that was any good or not, because I'm trying not to get into the stuff that everybody else is getting into. But at the same time, it is newsworthy, and it's the most important story of the day, that the Holy Father is dead, and now we are in a time waiting for our new Holy Father, and to pray for all those who are in the positions of decision making to do so. And really, I call on all Catholics to dunk on every Protestant out there who's going to take this time to attack the faith. We need to defend the faith more than ever right now, because it's up to us. All right, folks, that's it for this episode of Rickcast on the Road. Please do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell to help support the show. The comments are great. I appreciate you guys. I will talk to you tomorrow. From where? I don't know. You're going to have to tune in and find out. All right, folks, thank you so much. I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you for hanging out with me today. God bless. And until that day comes, free Dexter Taylor.